All right, we are live. What is up, everyone? Today we have Roo Troops with us, and we're going to talk all about it. This is a very interesting and unique project, so it's going to be very exciting. So let's give a quick intro of yourselves. Tell us about who you guys are.
Yeah, thanks, man. My name is Stone, founder over at Roo Troop. We are a project based around tree kangaroos and developing the first on-chain job marketplace. So we're looking really to bridge the gap in Web3, where there's no real way for employers and employees to connect with each other in an efficient manner. So that's kind of our mission, what we're here to do. And yeah, I'll let the other guys kind of introduce themselves as well.
Cool. I'm John. The project manager, COO for Roo Troop, and Stone pretty much nailed it on exactly what our mission is. So I won't go too far into that, but super excited, obviously, to be here and excited to talk more about it. Hand it over to the best dev this side of the Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Corey, the best dev on this side of the Mississippi. I'm the CTO and dev for Roo Troop. I'm the lead developer on all things Roo Troop, and most things that you see have been touched by either myself or one of our other fabulous devs. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. And why did you guys decide to go with tree kangaroos out of all the animals?
Yeah, I'll touch on this, and then maybe John can fill in the blanks there too. I love this story. It's we actually had a pretty set process of why we chose tree kangaroos. And so the first one was we knew we wanted to become a PFP project. That's what we were comfortable with as traders at the time, being in the community. So it was about, okay, what animal are we going to choose? We decided we were going to be a PFP. We're going to be an animal. Which one is it? We don't want to be any derivative. We want to be something that has not been done before in the market. And so past that, there's obviously a lot of animals that haven't been done in the market because there's a lot of derivatives out there. And so after that, we looked at, okay, we definitely want to have a philanthropic aspect baked into the project. So let's find something that's endangered that we can donate some funds from the mint to and continuously donate to. And, right then, okay, animals that, haven't been done before, animals that are endangered, still doesn't really narrow it down that much. So we looked at, where was the second biggest market in NFTs from our perspective? And at the time, back in October, this was before kind of the anime meta boomed in the NFT space, and you had the Azukis coming out and all of the derivatives of Azukis coming out. And with that, the Asian market was coming in heavily. This was before that time. So we deemed the Oceanic region as the second largest NFT market. So at that point, we've got animal that hasn't been done before, animal that we can donate to, super endangered, an animal somewhere in Australia or New Zealand. Still doesn't really narrow it down that much because if you're familiar with that area, there's a lot of wildlife and a lot of it's really endangered. So at that point, it was John and I spent a lot of time over the next 2 days kind of searching through every single endangered animal species list in the Oceanic region, watching documentaries, watching YouTube videos, and we came across the tree kangaroo. And we were both like, have you ever heard of this? Like, is this real? And so at that point, we're like, okay, it's real. There's only 2,500 left in the world. And if we're this shocked that this thing exists and we've never heard of it, and just for reference, John and I are both, really big into watching nature documentaries and like learning about all sorts of different species of animals. And for us to have never heard of it, it was like, okay, this is a no-brainer. This is what we're going with.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either, and only 2,500. That's insanely low.
Yeah, there's actually more tree kangaroo NFTs in our collection than exist in the world. It's insane to think about.
Yeah, it is.
So
I just Googled it. They're pretty cute.
Yeah, they're like the marsupial mutt, we like to call them. That's our artist Gwen Stacy. He actually came up with that term, but they kind of look like a mix of a lot of different marsupials. But they're about a foot tall, and their tail is about 1.5 feet long, and they live up about 60 to 80 meters up in the canopy of the last protected cloud forest in the world, which is the Daintree rainforest in Australia. So these things, like, even though they're small, they live in the craziest conditions, and they can actually fall from the top of the canopy down to the bottom of the forest floor and be completely unscathed. It's crazy.
Wow, wow, that's talent. That's talent. I wish I could do that too. But yeah, you guys mentioned that you'll be donating to them, and I saw on your website, I think it was a 10 ETH donation. Like, has that already been done, or is that in the works?
John, you wanna take that one?
Yeah. So we began working with a great group out of Australia, really right from the start. That was one of our missions, as Stone had mentioned, was really giving back to a philanthropic organization, and so being able to do that meant a lot to us. And so we did make that donation. I would say it was maybe roughly a few weeks after we minted and things like that, but it actually went to acquire an entire piece of land in the Daintree that this specific organization has been focused on. How do we not just help the tree roos, but really how do we set them up? Because it's one thing to like help and be able to nurture something back to health if it's injured or something like that. That's really definitely needed, and it's at a small scale. But ultimately, how do you help something like that in a longer term fashion? How do you give back to something that is more sustainable in that sort of assistance? And it's by actually acquiring the land that they live in and preventing then organizations, companies from coming in and developing on that land. That's part of a lot of the struggle that they've been having over there is industries coming in and really taking that land as great opportunity for whether it be building things for tourism or building hotels and different sort of resorts, because it's a beautiful location and actually sits right next to the Great Barrier Reef. So if you could imagine a lot of marketability for a resort to have people coming in, humans, and then unfortunately we just destroy that environment. And so what they've been doing is acquiring land, and then actually it's been given back to the indigenous folks of that area for the long term. So it's been a great opportunity for us to be able to give back to obviously the tree roos, and more specifically being able to set that up for a long-term success, not just like a one-time thing that they benefit from.
And just to add on to that as well, we donated 10 Ethereum, which was about 30,000 USD at the time. And so that actually went back to buying the biggest plot of land in the Daintree rainforest. And so it's split up into, I forget exactly how many, maybe like 9 or 10 different plots. And the organization we worked with, Rainforest Rescue, had been buying back certain plots already. And the plot that we bought was the largest, and it also connected all of the other ones that they had bought back already. So what happens now is that tree kangaroos, for the first time ever, have a safe passage from the lowest point of elevation in the Daintree rainforest all the way up to the top. It's a safe passage the complete way unscathed. And so what that means for tree roos is, of course, it's great for all of them to be able to kind of roam around and, mate and whatnot. But, the really cool thing is that it really benefits joeys, baby tree kangaroos, because when they get to a certain point, they need to venture out on their own and start getting their own territory. And with unprotected land, it was really unsafe for them to do so. And you can kind of imagine how hard it would be to repopulate, if even the joey population can't even get out. So.
Yeah, I saw on the website that you could mint a joey, which we should get into later. But since first of all, I think it's amazing that like maybe you guys potentially saved a whole species. Hopefully that happened. I guess I'm not too sure yet. But what do you guys think about the bear market? Are you all okay? All good?
Yeah, we're fine. We're here to build regardless of what's going on in the market. We have a clear goal and a clear product and what we're doing here. So it doesn't really affect us that much. And just kind of looking at the price action of our collections, Roo Troop and Joey Mob, both of them are holding up fine. Our community is really strong. They're down with the cause. So it doesn't really affect us. And I think it's a result of being a business. We're incorporated and we're an actual business, but we're running off NFT technology and with Web3 ethos. So,
yeah, cool. And how big is the team right now?
So the core team is definitely John, Corey, and myself. But we've got, I believe it's like 22 people total on the team now, ranging from mods to a bounty hub manager to Discord developer. We've got a whole slew of people on our team.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big team actually.
Yep.
Cool. and there's lore behind the Roo Troops. So are you able to expand on that right now?
John, you wanna take that one away?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what I'll touch on the lore a bit, but like it really just connects so much to what we were doing with the organization from a charity perspective, right? We just mentioned all of this concern that we have over corporations and industries coming in and building on top of their land and really diminishing the opportunity that the Joeys, the Roos, have to be able to live in their natural environment. And so we took that and then actually related that directly into our lore, right? And so specifically thinking of how do we look at a small faction of the Roos, be it we call them the Roo Bots. It is the lowest in terms of, or maybe I'll better state it, the rarest of all of the Roos that we have. And so ultimately, those Roo Bots are controlled by the evil industries that are trying to build on top of the land. And so we, as in the Roos, have to actually battle and fight back to defeat the evil Roo Bots and corporations that are trying to take our land and to try and build on it. And so what you're seeing here is a little bit of that in a graphic nature, where the Roos are looking around, they're seeing their land here, and now they're coming together, and we're getting ready for battle. We're getting ready to fight for our specific natural habitat and make sure that we're keeping that intact and ultimately fighting against these industries, as you can see, that are coming up here in the rainforest.
Well, you guys can make a whole movie out of this. That's a very nice story.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. We've tinkered around with that thought. It's definitely not in the core initiatives and not in the near future. But our animator who we worked with for this, he's S tier. We love him, and so past the job market, there's a lot of room for extra branding and getting out there in the mainstream media for sure.
I mean, like, now that I think about it, if I ever go to Australia, I would like to see some tree kangaroos. Like, I would even pay to feed them. So maybe that's like, it should be part of tourism.
Well,
I don't know if
that's a success story right there, right? We've exposed you to the fact that tree kangaroos exist, and now we've explained the story, and you've got that element of, hey, I feel like I should be able to help them, and I want to go meet them too. And so that's one of the biggest kind of wins for us, is letting the broader community know that these things even exist. Because it's one thing to be endangered, but it's another to be endangered and not have anybody know about you. That makes your livelihood so much worse. So
yeah, I feel like they deserve to be known about. That's bad grammar, but who cares? All right, so who did the artwork?
The art was done by Gwen Stacy, who is actually a very famous rapper named It's Okay to Cry. He's got an album dropping tonight, actually, so I'll give him a little plug there. But he and I were connected on Twitter for like the last 5 years or so, because I come from the music industry, and he had actually reached out to collab on a song. And so there was no conversation. He had just reached out to collab on a song, and like I never actually responded. I found that out like a year later. But when I put out a tweet saying we were going to start a project and looking for an artist, he reached out via DM. He was like, "Hey man, like I'm actually an animator as well, and just launched my own animation studio, so would love to work with you guys." But to be clear, he didn't make the launch trailer. That was a guy named David Merzai, who is out in Australia.
Okay, cool. So I think now let's talk about the meat of the project. What is the background of Roo Troop, and how are you guys going about building an on-chain marketplace?
Corey, you wanna step in here?
Sure. So we've already noticed, and I think everybody who's interacted with this space has noticed thus far, that there are a lot of opportunities in it. And so there's projects left and right. There are people looking for people, but there's no really clear way at this point in time for folk who are looking to employ people in the Web3 space to actually get in touch with folk that are looking to be employed. So we've already seen on sort of a microscopic level what we've already been able to do with our job bounty system, which is just a placeholder system right now, which enables us to, we work with a handful of projects. We have partnerships with, say, Llamaverse, which uses exclusively our platform to bring on new new employees. We've already been able to put in a lot of people into positions just with this small placeholder system where we post the opportunity for projects out there to submit via a form, jobs that they're looking to hire for. We do a little bit of vetting, and then we put it on this platform here where anybody who holds a certain set of tokens can access and view all the jobs available. So I think right now we're partnered with Sappy Seals, Llamaverse, Gaming Ape Club,
Hysteria Labs,
Hysteria Labs as well. Long list, but holders of those tokens right now can access all of these job listings, and we've already put forth so many people into so many positions. I think and I don't recall exactly, but our the highest amount of pay that we've gotten somebody hooked up with was 30 ETH or something like that. So some very high number.
We're at around 65 people placed in jobs so far, with over 270 jobs posted. And before we get to the on-chain aspect, which I'll let Corey expand on, because I'm definitely not the big brain dev here. Just to give you some context of why this came to be, we were actually doing project launch advisement before starting Roo Troop. We were working with some other projects, and basically every single one of those founders, the money-backed VCs, the CEOs who wanted to come in and launch a project, they needed to hire someone. Whether it was a Discord mod, a community manager, Solidity dev, they needed someone. And so we started bringing those opportunities into our Discord before we even launched. And just for context there, we launched the Discord around October, but didn't launch the project until January. So this was a service that was free to everybody. We were bringing in those opportunities. We were interviewing people from our community. We were hand-holding them and ramping them up and training them. And then we were leaving them with those projects and giving them paid opportunities. And so that really made it clear to us that, hey, just as much demand as there is for people to join teams, there's demand on the other side for people looking for roles. But the commonality between both of those is that there's no visibility on either side. You go on Glassdoor, you go on Indeed, and you try and look up a community manager for an NFT project, like, you're probably not going to find anything. And if you do, the pay for that role is going to be completely out of whack and not in touch with the Web3 landscape. And so we noticed a significant gap in the market, saying like, hey, we know there's thousands of hungry community members who want to work. We know there's thousands of money-backed founders who want to hire these people. We just need a way to connect them. And there's no real good Web3 job marketplace right now. So that's where the initiative came from.
So on this website, you can get full-time and part-time positions. Am I correct?
Yep. You can get anything under the sun there.
Okay. And why would someone need an NFT in order to apply for a job? Or how would that work?
Yeah, so right now in its infant stages, this is an exclusive service that is just for Roo Troop holders and our Class A partner community holders. And so like Corey said, that's Llamaverse, Sappy Seals, Ethalian, Gaming Ape Club, and Hysteria Labs. The reason we are gating it is because this is our first business. We want something that's manageable, and we want to scale progressively. We don't want to come out the gates and get flooded with everything. This has given us time to iron out all the kinks, really kind of improve our processes, and really refine our mission and our goals and what we're going to do with the marketplace. So right now, anybody can come in and post a job listing. You don't have to hold the NFT to do so. And the reason for that, and the kind of main feedback is, why would you charge employees but not employers? And that's not really the case. It's more so about bringing in opportunities, right? If you're an unknown project, why would people post their jobs to your project, right? So we came out the gate saying, hey, anybody can come post. And what you're getting by posting with us is a community full of hungry people who want to build in Web3 and are actually native to this space and know about it. So you're getting a pool of applicants that you can be sure are actually in the know about what's going on here and how to kind of go about their business. So that's kind of where we're at currently, but eventually it will open up to everybody. The on-chain job marketplace is going to be for everybody. It's not going to be gated because we're here to stimulate the entire NFT economy, not just our holders.
I'm wondering why having an NFT attached to something like this would benefit the website. Like, why can't someone just create a website without an NFT? You know what I mean?
They absolutely could. But, we're in the space. We were community members first, and we love Web3. We love the NFT space. So we wanted to launch a project. And so that's kind of why I say we are a business running on NFT technology. We used NFTs as kind of our startup funding to get this thing off the ground. right? This takes a lot of manpower. It takes a lot of time. And with that, people need to be compensated for doing so. So yeah, that's kind of the reason of integrating NFTs. And that's a great thing about Web3 is it gives people like myself, who's a 25-year-old guy, and Corey's 22 and John 30 something. So it gives us the opportunity to crowdfund with a community and kind of build together with this common goal in mind.
Yeah, just to add to that, even like any good product that is being built, you need direct feedback from your personas, from the people that are utilizing your specific product. And so this allows us to contain that feedback and get it directly from a community that already knows who we are. So they're very comfortable in being able to provide feedback. And then as well, it's a community that we know has similar goals, so that they're thinking about this from a larger perspective, not just, oh, I want to come and use this for one thing and then they leave. This is somebody that is, I'm really trying to make my career here in Web3. This is a point in time now I can get into and actually start my career in Web3. And so that's at least why we began in that smaller sort of scale, is that we could contain that feedback. We know that it's a specific persona and consumer that's utilizing it. And then being able to gain that feedback, it's then been an input into how we're now developing the future of our job marketplace that's going to be released then to the larger public. So it was definitely strategic when we think of it in that way.
And Corey, do you want to touch on the on-chain element of what the job marketplace is going to look like?
Yeah, let's dig into that a bit. So, as Stone said, this is really a grassroots movement forming out of the NFT community. And, a lot of the other pieces of software that are out there already, they exist for the corporate world. They exist in the Web 2 world. The world that we know is, oftentimes doesn't compensate the way people ought to be compensated. It's got a lot of hands in it that really ought not be in it. So what we're looking to do is do something a little bit more true to the Web3 ecosystem. And in doing so, what's more inherently Web3 than building something on the blockchain? What we're looking to do is leverage what the blockchain gives us, right? It gives us a permanent record of historical events that cannot be altered. And we're looking to leverage that to create a marketplace that is truthful and verifiable. So we're going to have, now people who join our platform, there's nothing being gatekept by corporations. There's nothing keeping people from the jobs. And there's going to be a record of not only what jobs people have taken on, right? Built right into the blockchain, can't be changed, whether it's good or bad feedback. There's going to be a record of jobs that people have taken on, and there's going to be a record as well of projects that are looking to hire people and the folk that they've taken on, whether or not they've paid properly, how, and you can see from that as well, have they been involved in projects that have rugged and whatnot. And so this gives us a verifiable record built right into the blockchain of employment history, of employees. And it does so in just a way that's very inherently Web3, right? And it also allows this ecosystem to survive without us. We're not going to be around forever, right? We're all going to die in 100 years. But the hope is that, this product can still exist without us, and it'll continue living on in true Web3 form, into the distant future.
And just to touch on that as well, the problem we're trying to solve here, or the problem we will solve here, is the fact that currently in Web3 in these transactions, there's too much trust, right? If you are going to hire somebody from the community, more than likely they're anonymous, as is the norm in this space. And so you have to extend a level of trust as the hirer that they actually have the experience that they say they do. And on the flip side, as the employer or as the employee, interviewing, you have to extend a level of trust that this founder hasn't been involved in rugs, that they're actually here to build, and, they have the means to do what they say they're going to do. And so similar to how NFTs provide proof of ownership and it's undeniably verifiable, we're going to be providing proof of work, proof of experience. So.
Yeah. So even just to add a little bit more to that, I get super excited about this specific conversation, but ultimately if you think of a root problem that anyone would have in their daily life, independent of if you're, talking about NFTs, blockchain, crypto, whatever, that part doesn't even matter. Imagine you just need to go and get a job somewhere. Well, that means that I, as a candidate, I need to figure out, well, what work have I done in the past, and how do I represent that to an employer so that they understand what I've done? Well, that means I need to now create a resume. To do that, That means I have to type all of this information out. Now, as an employer who's looking at that resume, what's the standard process? Well, we interview somebody, we talk to them. And then we hope that in that conversation, we can understand that they have a skill set that's going to meet the need of me as that employer. Now I can actually, through what we're building, look at something and verify with exact certainty to say, I know that this person has done this thing in the past. And I can then look at that and relate it directly to someone without having to consider, are they just really good at interviewing? Are they just really good at being able to talk to me and trick me, if you will, into thinking that they can do this thing? Now we can actually point to something with confidence and say, with 100% certainty, yes, I know that they have done this thing in the past. And because of that, I know that they can then do the same thing I'm asking them to do today. And similarly, for me as a candidate, how do I know that what you as an employer are offering me, not in the sense of the job role, but in terms of the payment and in terms of the amount that I may receive, is that actually a fair price for what it is? Maybe I'm brand new to the specific space, and so I don't really know what a community manager should be paid. Well, we can now actually, through the data that we could collect through this and then be, publishing it, provide standardization and or average understanding to anybody to say, this is what this type of role then actually may be paid. And so now as a candidate, I feel confident that I'm going to be paid what I'm worth, or at least in this case, I'm paid what this specific role is generally paid. And I don't have to just trust that, the employer is going to pay me a fair wage. It can now be proven that this is the standard way.
Yeah, this is very interesting. So pretty much all the employers and the employees' records, it's going to be on chain, so anyone can check who's legit, who's a fraud. This might be an ignorant question, but can it be fake? How would that work? If someone created a new MetaMask wallet and then they started using that, would they be able to tell if it's the same person?
So, I mean, from a starting standpoint, if what we're talking about from our marketplace is what I like to say, just the happy path, that's not something that we're trying to solve in the immediate release of the marketplace. Meaning, we're not looking and scanning transactions to understand, did this specific MetaMask wallet and address get created, and maybe it's had a link to another MetaMask wallet. We're not gonna replace Zach. Let's put it that way. That dude will kill it still on Twitter, and he will figure out every scammer because he knows how to do that. But what we can do at least is provide friction to somebody that does wish to do that. And what I mean by that is, as an example, if I'm someone that maybe has had actually really poor experience in my employments, and I got let go by 2 different projects previously because I'm terrible at what I do. Well, now I go and create a new wallet ID. Well, now the problem is I don't have that history of even working at another place. So that friction is now actually, I'm brand new to this space. I'm not able to, at least to an employer's eyes, I'm not able to just get this community manager position and they trust that I can do this job because, well, I've done it 2 other times. Now I actually have to sell them on why that, I might be a great person for that specific role. So it does create friction, at least from a candidate standpoint, to go through that specific type of thought. Like, maybe I'll just get rid of that address, use a different one. Mm-hmm. Similarly, for the employer, it would work, the same in a sense of, I'm having to now create, or at least go through friction to create my new project through the account setup. And now I have to take additional steps I've already done previously to set up my wallet account and things that would deter somebody from just this ease of entry by just creating multiple wallets. Let's put it this way. It wouldn't be as easy to continue to create new accounts with new wallets as it is to just simply create a new wallet within MetaMask, right? And so by creating that sort of friction, it can then be a deterrent for somebody that is trying to use it in a negative or negative way.
Yeah, this is a very awesome idea. I love it. I need to go check out the floor price later. Maybe I'll buy one.
But, it's a good time to buy NFA, but
NFA. Yeah. But anyways, how do you guys build in such a fast-paced world? Because building a great project takes time, but then everyone in the NFT community is so impatient. Like, how do you juggle, how do you build a great product while satisfying the short-term needs?
I just harass Corey every minute of every single day and tell him this needs to be done instantly. No, uh, I'll touch on it real quick. From my perspective, at least, I deem a lot of our success and ability to build at our pace. I don't feel like we move at the market's pace. We move very quick because we're efficient. But we have a community behind us that we were building up for months and months and months before ever even announcing the name, the roadmap, the animal of the project. And so these people have just bought into us as a team, as a competent, founding team who can put on for the project that they now have bought into. Mm-hmm. And so with that, we've hit road bumps. We've hit some speed bumps along the way, and we're just transparent with the community. We tell them, like, hey, this is going on. It's going to take a couple extra weeks. And every single time, it's overwhelming support. And like, oh, yeah, we want the best product out. You guys don't need to rush it. It's okay. Like, you can pivot. That's cool. But, on the other end, like, we do work quick. We work way faster than a Web2 business, for sure. And I credit that to, just the competence of our team. We've got a big team. We've got people hitting things from all angles. We're still in the process of even hiring more. I think, Corey and John have been in interviews with a UX designer to bring on. So there's definitely room to increase our efficiency. But so far, we haven't really felt that pressure because we've been able to execute. We've been able to say we're going to do this, and we execute on. So, Corey, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll happily dig into it. I mean, yeah, certainly Stone telling me to work faster and faster. It's very motivational, and it really replaces sleep. But no, we move very fast because we're all very competent people, right? John's an actual project manager in his real Rev2 role. I'm an actual software developer by day. I'm specifically a React developer, and I've got experience with all sorts of different languages and whatnot. So I'm doing the sort of stuff that I'm comfortable in day out. And we're hiring people who are right for the jobs, right? There are a lot of teams that are small out there who have one person doing 8 different things, but in our scenario, we have folk that are qualified for their unique roles. I'm not trying to do a Discord development, and I know lots of people have asked left and right, can you make a Discord bot for me, whatever. I really don't know how to do that stuff. I don't have much experience in it, but you know who does? Young God, our Discord developer, right? And traditional website design, we have Hidden Lotus for it. I don't work in it all because I usually work on web apps. And so we have a very focused team who does, they're very siloed in that they do exactly what they know and what they're comfortable doing. And they do it very fast and they do it very efficiently because we're not asking people to do new things. But all the same, we build very quickly because we're all very, very motivated and we have very strong creative processes, and we're happy to talk through and build new things for the community. We like to see their excitement, and we engage with them on Twitter and Discord constantly, trying to feel out their feedback and whatnot. So we have a massive pool of data that feeds on what we need to do. And it's not hard to pull up ideas, and it's not hard to navigate around roadblocks. It's been very effective.
Okay. Yeah, cool. And one of the things I think that Corey hits on, which is like super important, and I think maybe oftentimes just thought of as, or maybe even taken for granted, which is like Stone, he came from marketing, right? So he knows how to be what he is, and he knows how to do it extremely well. I only have worked in product my entire life. I know how to build products. Corey is a software developer. He knows how to build. So like the beauty of it is we've taken the experience that we've gained throughout our personal lives and as we often say, like IRN, real life, right? And now actually brought it into this specific space. And so we're able to take the concepts that we've learned out there, bring them in with then a new fresh perspective of how do you build inside of Web3. And now that is what has led to what I would describe as being this like secret sauce of our team, which has enabled us to build very, great things and super quick as well. While also, I think Stone nailed it too, is like one word, at least from a community perspective, is transparency. So we talk about like, us being very open and honest with the community. Not only has it, done us well in the sense of, well, now there's a level of expectation that they have so that we can then be meeting that, but as well, that gains trust. And that trust is what then gains a very solid community, which with that behind you, it's very easy to do the things that we have to do.
That's like
Mhm.
that's exactly what I was gonna add on at the end. Is like, we just can I cuss on this show? That's
Sure.
like, we just fucking love the community, man. We love this space, and so we want to put on for them. We started this project, like we won't dive into the context of the beginnings of this project. We can do that another time. But the basis from the very very get go, before we had a name, a roadmap, anything, was how do we provide value to this community that we have built up and that we love. And so when you have that at the core of everything, shit, it makes things easy to just kind of bust through every initiative.
Yeah, cool, awesome. And how does staking work? Because you can what utility tokens do you earn, and what is the utility behind those tokens?
So I'll give you a quick layman's term explanation, and then I'm gonna let Big Brain Corey over here give you the
Always
sauce.
passing on the work to Corey.
Yeah. So we wanted to come out of the gates with something very, very innovative and that hadn't been done before. So this is actually a first of its kind staking mechanism that we worked directly with NFTX to develop. And if you're not familiar with NFTX, it is a great platform where projects can open up liquidity pool vaults for their tokens. So essentially, you can deposit your NFT and it will mint one ERC20 currency in exchange for you locking up that NFT, which then takes it off of the floor of OpenSea. So my thought around it was, hey, let's really incentivize people to lock up their floor NFTs, because most people don't deem floor NFTs as valuable. They don't want them anyway. That's typically the stuff they're throwing out and trading and flipping. And so what if we reward them for locking them up? They can yield this ERC20 currency Roo, but then also let's develop a dashboard on top of that, underpinned by the NFTX vault, that lets them yield a secondary currency called Roola. And so Roo is liquidity backed. You can exchange it for ETH. Roola is not, as of right now at least. It is to be purely a utility token. And so while it is innovative, while it is unique, it is the first of its kind. And we have NFTX saying that on record. It didn't work out how we planned. It's a pricey mechanism because it is underpinned by NFTX. The gas cost to stake is sometimes equal or greater than the actual NFT cost itself. On top of that, it also requires people to pair liquidity with their stake. So they can't just deposit the NFT. They have to deposit the NFT plus equal parts Ethereum or WETH. WETH, Corey, you'll give me shit for that later. But so with that, it's a very pricey mechanism. And what we saw is like only about 150 people ended up staking, unfortunately, which then, kind of disbands the utility that we had planned for Roola. So what we did was we put out a community vote recently, and 98% of people voted to change up the staking mechanism. So this was a big bulk of this is a huge lift by Corey that we're now getting rid of. But definitely want to allow Corey to flex on what he built here, because it's really unique. So
happy to flex on it. So yeah, what you're looking at now, like Stone said, is a platform that we built on top of the NFTX platform. The NFTX platform's been around for a while, but what they haven't seen is anybody finding a way to wrap their platform's functionality with their own utility token. So as you see here, the primary utility token, our in-ecosystem token, Roola, that we'll, I'm sure, discuss later, is used in our Roola shop and was used to mint Joey's and whatnot. We yield that on top of NFTX's rewards by doing a very novel and new thing, which is building out a smart contract that wraps all of the NFTX functionality into a nice bundle, manages it all for the people, and does so in a very simple way. Because of course we were from day one, we're trying to give people access to cool technologies while also making sure the technologies are very understandable. Right, one of our core tenets is education, and so we wanted to make something that was understandable, also something that we can educate upon for the layperson. But yeah, we wrap a bunch of NFTX functionality right there. Under NFTX as a whole is just it's a platform that allows people to, like Stone said, convert non-fungible tokens into fungible tokens. So right, the Roo Troop NFTs can become the Roo ERC20 token, and it allows them to then put that into a pool of tokens that can be then freely traded using this ERC20 token. An ERC20 token which has a liquidity pool on SushiSwap and can be purchased in fractional quantities as well. So this allows people to hold, say, a quarter of a Roo if they so desired, and then it would be underpinned by an actual Roo Troop NFT. So this technology is very, very powerful for allowing people to, just passively earn the utility token as well as the actual Roo token as they're just, as they go on with their normal days. And so we're leveraging technology that already exists. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, and we're adding a little bit more on top of it. And so this makes for a little bit of a complicated ecosystem, right? We have the Roo Troop NFT, we have the Roo ERC20 token, but there's a handful of other tokens that are moving in the background there that, you don't really see on the day-to-day because we've wrapped this technology into our smart contract. But, when you go in with a Roo Troop NFT, you give it to the NFTX platform, you're going to get the Roo ERC20 token, but then you can take that Roo ERC20 token and you could take it to Sushi Swap and put it in a liquidity pool with equal parts ETH or WETH or WETH, whatever Stone wants to call it. And in return, you're going to get back this XRoo WETH token, which is just an SLP token. It's a Sushi Liquidity Provider token. What you do then is you take that to the NFTX platform and you stake that with NFTX in order to yield the Roo ERC20 token. And that just gets hung onto by NFTX. And you are then given an XRoo ETH token. And you take that token, and this is all happening in the background, and you put that into our staking platform, and it holds onto that for you, right? It's some sort of escrow for this XRoo ETH token, and it makes sure that you have staked through NFTX, and as long as you're staked through NFTX, you're going to earn Roola in a fixed rate over time. And right, the accrual for Roola right now is 10 Roola a week per Roo, and we're looking to change the mechanism up to be a little bit more rarity based, but that's what it is currently. And so, as long as you stay staked up with NFTX and through us, you just earn both tokens, and it's the best of both worlds. And you can keep continually going through and restaking your Roo and piling on top of that and letting it exponentially compound as well. So it's a very powerful tool, but like Stone says, it has a lot of shortcomings in that all those steps that I just enumerated happen in one transaction when you're staking, right? It swaps tokens, sends them to the Sushi liquidity pool, sends a token over to NFTX, sends that token over to our contract. And so there's all sorts of things going on, and it gets rather expensive, right? And it also requires that people understand what providing liquidity even is, right? There's a lot of risks in being a liquidity provider that isn't super friendly for the layperson. And when we first launched this platform, we created a really thorough white paper on what exactly all of this is and how it all works and the risks of being a liquidity provider. But a lot of people don't understand, you can lose money on providing liquidity due to impermanent losses, and there's just a lot of little risks here. So that's why we're looking to rebuild as well and build something even better that doesn't have these inherent risks, allows people who don't have as much, who aren't whales to enter the ecosystem with a lot less friction.
And just to add one more detail to that, a big reason we thought it would be successful is the fact that when you stake through NFTX and therefore you stake through our Roo Troop staking dashboard, you don't actually get your same Roo Troop NFT back when you unstake. It's kind of a random redeem that you go through. And from our perspective initially, we were like, oh, yeah, that's great. People aren't going to care about the floor Roos. But what ended up happening, which is, kind of a double-edged sword, but, for the most part, a really great outcome, is that people have gotten attached to their Roos, even the cheapest of the bunch. And so they're identifying with them. They're trying to build brands around them. And so they don't want to stake if they're going to lose that Roo. So it's kind of the reason we pivoted.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And you guys said that you guys are focused on education as well. So can you expand on the Kanga Academy?
Yeah. So Kang Academy is our educational initiative. John, did you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, and this is it's a fun sort of anecdotal story because this is actually how Stone and I met, was through another project. And ultimately, it was some random Saturday. I remember the exact situation itself. And there was a bunch of questions in the Discord around, hey, what do I do in this situation? And talking about this. And I just happened to be very informative and helping people understand, well, this thing, you should focus on this and maybe be aware about this other thing, things like that. Right. And so all of that actually was just because I wanted to help other people and learning about the space and specifically, how to become a better trader. And so that's actually how we initially got connected was, he saw that and we started talking, et cetera. And now here we are. But that same premise of we want to help others gain more knowledge in the space. that really just has continued into our own project here. And so the idea and premise of Kang Academy is the fact that, and by the way, we'll be the first persons to raise our hand and say we don't know everything. So we're oftentimes learning new things as well. But really what we want to do is, as a community, continue to expand everyone's knowledge where they want it. And so what I mean by that is, actually, first, what we did is surveyed our entire community and said, here's a number of different questions, answer these for us. And at the same time, what are things that, if you just came into this space on your first day, now knowing what you know, what was something you wish you knew then, right? And so what we really were able to gather there is just so much information from our community to say, these are the topics and pieces of conversation that a new trader or a new person into this space would want to understand or know about. So that gave us a segment of topics that we could then create and really develop a lot of material to help others learn. How do I become really good at maybe flipping, or how do I get really aware of like red flags to a project? What are tools that might be really helpful to me as a buyer, collector, a trader, to be able to identify, a great project that's coming out, or, massive buys that are happening right now? Really, what are those things? And then from Corey's perspective, all of the brain dump of just the smartness he has, there's so many questions that come out from folks in a community around reading contracts, understanding how to become a developer in the space. And so really what it was we want to take the information, one, that we already know. Two, we want to continue learning ourselves and be able to gather information from other sources and bring that to our community. And then three, ultimately, the real thought around this is we just simply want us as an entire space, as an entire community within the Roo Troop, to together become stronger and more intelligent around this entire thing that we call Web3. And so that was the idea and premise around Kang Academy. And ultimately now what we do is every bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, we will send out a well-written paper that's either one of us on this core team that writes it, or having guests come in to provide their expertise as well. And we provide that out to the community. And so you as a Roo Troop holder, you as a Joey holder, which I know we haven't talked about too much yet, but ultimately you have the access then to be able to gain this knowledge and these learnings, and then take that and use it in your day-to-day in the NFT and blockchain space. So it's just been really great, from our perspective to see people very responsive and actually excited and looking forward to the new information that we put out every 2 weeks for them.
Just to quickly say something about that too, we feel like it's our responsibility, right? We've been in the space for over a year and a half. At least John and I have, and Corey, I think, for about a year now too. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so, in Web3 and NFTs, like that's a veteran in the space, which is funny to think about. But thinking back to when we entered and thinking back to how it is now, even there's not a lot of knowledge accessible out there from people like us who have been through it all and have gotten rugged and have seen the red flags on projects and know how to read smart contracts and know how to build a Web3 resume for these jobs. So it's kind of our responsibility to put that information out there if nobody else is going to do it. So that's kind of the thought behind it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So let's talk about the Joeys. How do you go about minting a Joey, and what is the utility behind the Joey?
Yeah. So this was actually what kicked off the revamp of staking was the fact that initially people were going to only be able to mint Joeys with Roolah, the utility token. But when we went in to see how much Roolah was actually in circulation and how many people were staking, we realized that a very, very small part of our community was going to be able to do that. So we allowed people to mint 3 for the price that we said would be 1 in Roolah for day 1. We did a 3-day launch, and these are already out. Joey Mob is a collection that is released. And so we did a 3-day launch. On day 1, people could mint 3 Joey Bean incubators for 80 Roolah. And initially it was going to be 80 Roolah per one, but that's why we kind of added value there. And then on day 2, we said all holders can mint for 0.01 ETH, and there will be a cap of 3 for 3 hours. And then after those 3 hours, there is no wallet cap, but there is a cap of 10 per transaction. And so this wasn't meant to be our expansion collection. This was meant to be sort of, hey, here's kind of like airdrop-ish, but obviously we had to pivot because people didn't have the Roo. So, on top of that, they're going to play an integral part in the job marketplace. So that's why we really had to pivot, because if there weren't enough Joeys in circulation, then our plans for the job marketplace involving Joeys wasn't going to be able to be fulfilled. So what ended up happening was our community minted them out entirely on day 2. They didn't even reach the public sale on day 3, just because everybody was like, I want these things. I want to get involved. I want more exposure to this project. And so what we did there is we've got an incubation mechanic. So similar to how actual Joeys in the real world are produced, and Corey, I'm gonna say your favorite word. They have to gestate for about 12 weeks.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, don't look. It's just a nasty word. So similar to how they work in the real world, we minted Joey bean incubators, and on one end, it was because of how they did it in the real world. Like, we wanted to give that 12-week incubation period. On the other, we wanted to get these out quick, and we didn't have the art done yet. So we needed a nice runway to get the art completed, which it is now. And so people were able to mint these incubators. They can choose to incubate them or not. So there's a little bit of game theory going on, because we've told people, there might be perks for unincubated Joeys. There might be perks for Joeys in the marketplace later on. Who knows? We know, but they don't know. So what we've got going on right now is, like, I would love to pull the stats sometime, Corey, by the way, to see like how many people are incubated versus not. But there's a little bit going on. We're about 2 months into the 3-month incubation period, and so in about 4 weeks from now, we're actually going to see the first Joeys get revealed, and it'll be automatic if they've been incubated. And so what people minted was an incubator that showed the body trait. So on the incubators, they have a different colored vial, and that's the only trait of the incubator that you can see right now. And so that vial will pertain to the body trait of the Joey once it's fully incubated. And they'll all be in the same collection. There's only 5,500 total. They're on Joey Mob OpenSea. So as soon as Joeys start appearing, if you had an unrare body trait, you might have some rare traits on that Joey. And alternatively, what's going to happen is those Joey bean incubators might increase in value as Joeys start appearing, and there's less incubators in the ecosystem. So these are going to play an integral part in the job marketplace for 2 reasons that I can say. More reasons than that, but 2 that I can say for anybody from the troop that's listening. Sorry, you're not going to get me a slip up today. And the first is that holding Joeys or Joey bean incubators in the marketplace with Roo Troop NFTs will come with special perks, such as being able to boost your application to the top of a pool, being able to build out certain features on your user profile. On top of that, we have a very specific go-to-market strategy for the marketplace when we roll it out. And if you're familiar with Looks Rare, X Squared, Y Squared, where they did a token airdrop to the entire community, that's a similar route we're taking. Not exactly, but a very similar route. And so Joeys or Joey bean incubators, one or the other, might increase your multiplier of what that airdrop you get is. So there's a little bit of game theory going on. Got to be cryptic with you, just because our community is probably going to listen back and try and glean what we haven't told them. But yeah, that's not the expansion collection. It was more so a perk for our holders.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are doing a lot. I'm looking at my notes, and there's a ton of things that we haven't gone over. But at the same time, we are running out of time. So for my last question, are you guys planning to expand into the metaverse like the Sandbox or the Decentraland?
Yeah. Can't tell you if it's Decentraland or Sandbox or like Gridcraft or NFT Worlds. But we did just release that we do have a metaverse entry planned for later this year. And so that's coming from our partnership with Ethalian and Asteria Labs. They've got a dev team of like 15 devs working around the clock. And so they're going to be building out our voxel collection. And what our metaverse is going to be about, at least what I can tell you right now, is there's another partnership that we're going to roll out soon that'll take care of the P2E mechanics. And so part of that world will be P2E and give people the opportunity to earn Rula or whatever token we implement there. But then the other side of it pertains to the job board and the job initiative. So we're planning to reserve part of that land for people, big companies to be able to come in and build out, company headquarters, project headquarters. So think, Bored Apes, like if they want, like obviously that's a buzzword to say, but you get the point. The stature of Bored Apes, if they wanted to come in and they're hiring constantly, they're constantly expanding, we're going to give them the opportunity to build out a branded headquarters where they can hold interviews, they can hold meetings, they can hold sessions of any sort. And so we're really just trying to give people that full metaverse experience, and even so with the jobs and interviewing and hiring. So that's kind of our plan there, but we're a ways away, and a lot more details to come.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much about it for today. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share before we end the stream?
Yeah, I'll kind of leave you with this. Joey reveal is coming soon. Roo shop is being updated as we speak. We have our second Super Roo 1 of 1 coming out next week. New rarity-based staking is coming very soon. We're looking to have that done by the end of the month. And then last but not least, John and myself are hosting a panel at NFT NYC this year about making Web3 jobs accessible via NFTs. So if you're there, come through. We'll also be hosting 2 events outside of the conference. Those are going to be 2 huge club events that you do not want to miss. So with that, Rudy Roo, and thanks for having us, man.
I was going to say one last thing that I definitely wish everyone to know is Rudy Roo.
Rudy Roo!
But yeah, like the on-chain marketplace idea is amazing. Like, I'm gonna tell everyone about it. I'm seeing my girlfriend later. I'm gonna tell her about this. Like, this is amazing.
You tell her.
But
Thank you, man. We appreciate you spreading the gospel.
Hey, man, just doing my job. Anyways, yeah, thank you for coming on, and thank you to all the viewers for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again very soon.
Thanks for having me.
Slater Raid.
Thanks.
I can't log in, so we have to get Slater Raid back on so he can end the stream.